All right. So what is first is basically how are you going to screen your carrier? So if you have a carrier that, let's say you have a target that you know you want to screen and you're not really looking for targets, we're going to use this one first. We're going to look at a couple of different ones. This one I'm going to look at because this is a private equity backed carrier. And I think a lot of times what happens with people is they get under this mental illusion that just because a carrier shares the same operators, officials, VIN numbers, address, email, phone number, etc., that they are all chameleon carriers, and that is not always the case. So let's start here because this is a private equity backed carrier. They do have some commonality with other entities, but we're going to start with the faceplate. This is your company. You've got, if they have a rating, MC number, DOT number, carrier or broker. This one's just a carrier. Phone number, email, name, all that good stuff. All the general aggregate data stuff. Now, if you want to just share this with somebody to say, hey, I want you to check this carrier out, you can actually click this download card. It's going to download the faceplate only. That way you can just say, hey, check this person out. Now, say you have this carrier that you'd like to compare with another carrier. You can basically click here and do this, compare, and it's going to basically break down the features of both carriers side by side. So if you're really looking for like commonality of ownership, and you can kind of see it all here, you can definitely see that these two folks are not related. Now, that's just one feature there. Just wanted to hit on that since we're here. If you're looking for downloadable reports, you can click here. There's all kinds of different reports in here that you can click. You can click a compliance report. And really what this is going to do is break down all the data that's in this profile. So what their basics look like from a reverse engineer perspective, because we don't have FMCSA's true SMS data for carriers. So we have to reverse engineer these scores. And basically this is going to break down different violations for different categories and how we got to reverse engineer these things. Now, one of the things that you can find out is if you're at a carrier and you're saying, well, do you have a policy in place? And they say, absolutely. We definitely have a driver criteria for hiring in writing. Well, you can kind of look at this and say, well, why, if that's the case, do you have driver fitness violations that are actually increasing or have increased? And you can definitely see this in different carriers. This is a smaller carrier, so you're not seeing as much of it. But anyway, this is basically going to give you some improvement on an action plan stand front. So coming in here, if you want to look up corporate data, you can click here and do corporate intel. This is all of your open corporate data. You can check it out by however you'd like. You can also run an AI investigation here. This is going to show you other entities with the same address, same phone number, same official, all that good stuff. If you want to open an investigation, you can click here. You can do generate a package. This is going to start an investigative report. It's going to kind of give you the rundown of this thing, and then it's basically going to take you to a page where you can actually work on this carrier. Lastly, add to watch list. If we want to add them to our watch list, we can select here. It's going to add them to our watch list. That way, every month, you're going to get an email if anything changes, whether it's insurance or violations or crashes or whatever it is that's changed on this thing. That's what's going to come through here. This is your flag column. Now, keep in mind, we're going to collapse this. So there's a huge amount of tabs here of data, right? And you're not going to need all these open. Now, if you do, you can basically click here and it's just going to expand all these tabs. But we'll just scroll through. Why not? So what you're going to have here is basically freight principal connections, whether it's freight or whatever the case is, shippers, etc. This is a revocation risk. 90-day revocation risk is not likely here. There's nothing in their profile that indicates that they're going to have a revocation. The only thing that they do have is insurance cycling, but that's because they're self-insured. I know who this company is. Different equipment that they're operating, revocation history across the entity. Current SMS. So this is our reverse engineered SMS scoring. If you want to see what it's going to look like under the new prioritization model, you can click there. Now, again, we've reverse engineered this. We don't have FMCSA's SMS data. So we do the best we can there. Same thing CAB and Blue Wire and everyone else does, but everybody's going to have their own methodology in terms of reverse engineering, which is going to result in different degrees of accuracy. So that's where we are, unless for some reason we get real SMS data from FMCSA, that's what you're going to get. Now, these are all the entity connections from a network perspective. If it's yellow, it's phone, purple is officer, green is email, orange is VIN. None of that really matters, but you'll figure that part out in here. If you want to look at this from a view graph perspective, this is going to give you treasury cards, because one of the things I hate about some of these systems is the actual web diagrams where you just don't get any information with these network clusters. So this is your company. These are the connectors they share in common with these entities. And again, the colors are what matters, right? So what you're seeing here is how are they sharing different things in common, whether it's address, phone number, VIN number, email, officer, whatever it happens to be. And you'll see there's a lot of connections here. But again, this is a private equity-backed business. They do a lot of M&A. They're constantly acquiring these companies and constantly exiting these companies, actually. So moving on, vehicle intelligence, shared VIN numbers. You can basically run a web intelligence piece here that'll actually give you a little AI web snippet of what this company is and who they are and how long they've been there and all that good stuff. MCS 150 history. They've been around 51 years. They were recently backed by private equity. I don't know, probably, I guess about 7-8 years ago now. Moving on. They have a high violation rate, 1.57, 1.5 violations per inspection, which is considered high. If you are here in this category and you want to see what the CFR is, you don't have to go looking for it. It is right here. If you actually want to go to the site, you can. This is through an integration with the ECFR. This is giving you a couple risk factors in terms of post-crash likelihood and why they might get a compliance review after a crash, especially a fatal crash. Some issues that they have there. Fine exposure analysis is good. Inspection pattern analysis. Keep scrolling. This is a FMCSA hazmat incident. So if a carrier has ever had a hazmat incident, these are in here and they go all the way back to the 70s. So if they've ever had a spill of or had a hazmat incident, it's in here from FMCSA. If they have shippers, it's here. Now, this is a section that we built, and this is primarily because a lot of states, well, all states have adopted the federal regulations from 49 CFR perspective, but some states have specific guidelines that differ, like Virginia and California and Indiana, and there's a lot of others. But in here, this breaks down how Virginia's adopted regulations are actually different from the federal regulations. So if this is your principal state of business, this is what's going to be here. If you are in California, you're going to see California's plate here, and you can actually download the summary as well. Inspection history, this breaks down that, some problem VINs. If you have any trending VINs that are constantly getting violations, it's going to show you there. Again, recent violations, revocation history, insurance history, current and active insurance is here. If they ever got PPP loans or SBA EIDL loans, they are going to be here, and they are downloaded from every state. So if they're in there, they're in there. So Secretary of State, if you want to run this on Open Corporates, you can click here, but this is going to give you Secretary of State, State Corporation Commission information. These are going to be your network mapping pieces, just like what we saw at the beginning, but this is going to give it to you in list form. Shared plates, shared VINs are going to be here. And your fraud risk composite, if they are a risky carrier, we don't have any real fraud risk here with this company. Take my word for it or not, but the only real red flag they have is one specifically, and that's basically negligible. If you are a carrier and you're coming in here as a carrier to say, well, let me check my record and see what's going on, we do have some regulatory and infrastructure data in here. This is fuel pricing that comes in every week from the federal government by region. You can also look at some freight flow intelligence. Let's just say you're looking to run California to Florida. It's going to actually give you some tax rates by state for fuel tax, and kind of show you what those are. If this carrier has any ELDT connections with training schools, whether they share officers or address, email, phone number, VIN number, etc., it's going to be listed here. UCC lien search, you can actually come here. We don't have an integration with them. I don't know anyone who does, but this will give you the link to Virginia UCC, and you can actually go there and check those out. If we have EINs and tax ID number, whether it's from federal contracts or whatever system may give those out to the public, it's going to be here. We don't have theirs. They don't have any federal litigation. If they do, this is live integration. It's pulling all federal cases, and we're going to show you what that looks like on another page. If you're a carrier and you want to know who your FMCSA field office and division is, this is your Eastern Service Center contact information and your state division, and you can submit a complaint, you can review complaints. This is not for here. If you have a driver who's been verified through DriverVerifi, which is our secondary sister company, which actually gives you a cryptographic chain from beginning of load shipment to end of load shipment. It's kind of like pre-check for TSA, but for truck drivers on each load. And if they've been verified, once they've been verified, it goes in here and you can decide which of your carriers you want to assign to a load based on whether they're kind of pre-checked for a specific load, especially if it's hazmat or some other kind of sensitive load. In here, if you need guidance on how to file your challenges for CPDP or violation challenges, you can come in here and drop your violations or your crash data, and it's going to give you a script on what to submit to FMCSA to help you guide through a successful CPDP or violation challenge with your data queue program. Now that's one carrier. So we're going to jump back here. We'll go to look at one more. We'll look at 80806, which is JB Hunt, another legacy carrier. Really, the reason we're coming in here is because that carrier didn't really have a lot of information. We're going to scroll all the way down here to the bottom. This is what federal litigation intelligence sections are going to look like. If you're a bigger company and you got a lot of federal cases that are ongoing or historical, you can actually see what those are here. So some people have thousands of federal litigation cases ongoing. So that's just a brief piece right there. And then we can go and look at one more to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like when a carrier is out of service in the platform. Check out AJ Partners. And when you have a carrier who's out of service, this is kind of what you're going to get. You've got the flag at top. You kind of got their history just like anywhere else, out of service orders, imminent hazards, all that good stuff. So this is their history. So basically this is telling you everything you possibly would need to know about a carrier. And they actually do have some, looks like some bankruptcy cases that were kicked off this year, actually. Not surprising. So after their shutdown. So anyway, this is how you're going to screen a carrier, and all these things, all these data sets, while some of it's available from FMCSA, a lot of it is not available from FMCSA. And we're trying to give you as much as possible to give you the most data, especially with the Montgomery case coming out, to actually decide how to better screen your carriers, to understand who it is you're actively putting on a load. And this isn't just about highway safety. There's definitely a highway safety aspect, and safety is basically the number one purpose of FMCSA. But the other aspect of this to me is always customer service. You know, on the broker side of the world, we used to not broker to Central Freight. and that was Central Transport. And that's because if you were going to broker an LTL load to Central Transport, there was a good likelihood that it either wouldn't get there or wouldn't get there in one piece. So if you could definitely get it for cheap, but it was well known that you were getting what you paid for. So the idea here is the same as for me with Central Freight. I would never take a customer and encourage them to pay less to go to Central Transport simply to get a lower rate, knowing that it wouldn't get there or wouldn't get there in one piece. So the idea here is kind of twofold. One, it's customer service. You want to make sure that your customer's product is getting safely from point A to point B, but also getting there in one piece without any claims. And you're trying to make that as likely as possible, but you're also trying to find the equivalent of that carrier that's going to actually also be a good person to share the highway with, someone who understands their moral, ethical, and professional responsibility of sharing the highway. So using this to hopefully get a better idea of who you're hiring is the key. So any questions, shoot them to us, and we'll see what we can do.